Yo guys, what's good? It's your boy Mr. Calvin the Boss here. We are back with another video. Uh for those of you guys who saw my Facebook post, and we asked that I would be speaking about some of the things that happens behind the scenes in tendering. This is the video that you want to listen to. So I'm gonna start off with a few things that are like often misconceptions and where people are often showed one thing, but in reality it's something completely different that basically would happen. So what I'm gonna start with, I'm sure that most of you guys have seen that there are some people that make posts that are basically just out of people that are quote unquote woke, where they'll say that the tendering industry is an industry that basically is just built around making rich people even more rich. And you often have a mindset of thinking that it can't actually be that, because if you work hard enough you can get to where you want to be. In reality, though, those people are not very far off the truth. So, for those of you guys who have never took any interest in a tender or don't know how it works, one of the main components that you need whenever you are applying for a tender is called a CIDB certificate. In other words, a certificate from the Construction Industries Development Board. Basically, what these guys do is that you would submit them your financial paperwork, and they will give your company a grading. And the grading that they give your company basically comes off of the amount of money that is in your company's bank account, combined with the amount of money that you have made for the year. And they have specific brackets that are made up. So, simple example, if you have, for example, 4 million rand in your company's bank account, then you would get a level 7 or level 6 grading, I think, something like that. But then you also would need to have a certain amount of money that runs through your company's bank account. So what will happen is that you will end up finding out that if you want to tender for a project, even if you have the experience in doing that project, you will not qualify to be able to even tender for it, purely because of the fact that you do not have a high enough CIDB grading. And ultimately, your CIDB grading, for the most part, is going to come down into how much money you have made previously and how much capital you have in your bank account. So you might ask, well, what is the point of why you should have such a large amount of money in your bank account? And the reasoning behind it makes sense. I mean, imagine if you are in a position where you are from a municipality, you issue a tender for you building 10 houses. They tell you that, this is the tender documents, fill out the tender. You tell us how much you're going to charge us for this 10 houses to be built, and return the quotation to us. You end up returning the quotation, and the quotation says, for example, you're going to charge them 2 million rand to build 10 houses. And then they're like, okay, cool, you win the tender, go ahead and do it. And then at this moment, you're like, but the problem is I don't actually have any money in my bank account. So it's basically to get rid of people who tender for projects and then don't have the actual capital to be able to work ahead. Because for those of you guys who don't understand, also, when you're working on a contract, you normally get paid either on delivery of the product itself, or if you're working on a long-term contract that's maybe, for example, like a year, then you would basically invoice based on the amount of work you've done so far. So say, for example, you get into a contract where you have to just do concrete reinstatements. You are only getting paid for whatever concrete reinstatements you do within a specific time frame every month. So they, for example, will tell you that the duration of your contract might be filled with, for example, 100 square meters of concrete reinstatements that you have to do. And then for 1 month, you only complete 20, you are only being paid for that 20. If you complete another 20 the following month, you only get paid for the 20 you've completed the following month, and so forth. So I feel it's important that a lot of you guys tend to learn about that, to learn about that, because a lot of people think that if you tender for a project, they give you the money like just willy-nilly, I just won the contract, they just gave me 3 million and that's the end of the story. No, it doesn't actually work like that. Just to give you guys also like a real world feel, and this is another problem that actually comes up with tendering now, and one of the reasons why I'm pulling out of it is, in reality, it's not as much money as you think it is. At least if you're working honestly, it isn't as much money as you think it would be. So just to give you guys a real world example, right? I worked for a company, and those people told me that if I replace a stopcock on the client's property, they would pay me 200 rand to replace a stopcock, basically. And immediately, like if you think about it and you use the method I just spoke of earlier, and you say, well, if you replace 10 of those stopcocks and you're making 200 Rand out of the deal, then you made 2,000 Rand just off replacing stopcocks, which isn't too bad. And yes, I would have made a turnover of 2,000 Rand in stopcocks. But the issue is, for me to buy the stopcocks that I use is 90 Rand on its own. The stopcock that I was told to use was a female stopcock, meaning that you would have to use 2 male fittings to go with it. So the male fittings that I would use cost 30 Rand. Then on top of it, I would have to buy a length of, we didn't use the entire length, but basically you would use a piece of 110mm pipe that would basically go around the stopcock, so as to prevent a lot of sand and stuff from falling over the stopcock, and so you could access it easily. And then you would have to put a stopcock box on top of that. And to make a long story short for you guys, once I've added in the cost of things, the extra fittings and stuff that would be needed to complete that job, you would be looking at around a profit margin of 30 Rand for completing a job like that. That is looking past the cost of the actual plumber that you hired to do that job as well. Another part of what you guys would have seen on Facebook as well was me discussing, or rather talking about how myself and some of the other contractors that I worked with were screwed out of a large amount of money by the city of Cape Town. And so I think to understand this also, I think I need to give you guys a bit of a rewind into where and how you get into the situation. So I started subcontracting from a company that basically won a tender that did standby for water meters. If a client contacted the city of Cape Town and said my water meter is leaking or my water meter is broken, I don't have any water inside the property, I would basically go out and I would go and assist the client, and by the time that I left that house, I would make sure that the people have water on their property. So a normal day for me, to be honest with you guys, I would wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, sometimes earlier, because we would receive messages that a superintendent from the city of Cape Town wants you to be at the specific person's house by 6 o'clock already. Because by the time that people wakes up, they want him to have water on their property. So I would be on site sometimes at even 6 o'clock already. I would then proceed and look out, complete my other sites. And then by around 12 or 1 o'clock, I would normally be done with the first batch of work. I would come home, capture all the work that I've completed, attach photos to all the jobs that I've done as well, and basically fill in all the job cards and stuff so that they can be ready to be submitted. And then I'd normally receive a few more call-outs at that time frame. This is like now at about 1 o'clock or so, and I go and see to them. And then I would normally get a few more call-outs at around like 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then some more at around 6 o'clock even at times. And we would normally just cover Mitchell's Plain, and sometimes, and most of the time you end up, going to okayish areas. Other times you end up going into areas you don't really want to step into at certain times of the day. So I received a notification in January of last year stating that the contract I was working on was going to be coming to an end. And I'm prepared for it. I'm a subcontractor, so obviously there's no type of UIF set out for me or anything like that. So I'm basically like now budgeting. I'm expecting, okay, I'm gonna get my last payment, and then from there I'll be able to work out how I'm going to cope up until I get a new job. It comes to the end of February. The company that I'm working for pays me around a bit less than 20%, I think, actually, of what my invoice was. And they say that they paid us 20. This is basically me and my other colleagues, by the way. There was about 10 of us all together as subcontractors, and we were basically told the city of Cape Town has a delay in paying the company I worked for. They will be paying us in full the following week. Following week comes, following week goes. After about a month, I think, we are told that one of the city of Cape Town superintendents has denied the invoice that was handed to them, stipulating that it wasn't a part of the tender that we were supposed to work on site before 5 o'clock. Now remember I told you guys earlier on already that there was times when I was told specifically by City of Cape Town superintendents, you have to be by site at 6 o'clock. And sometimes these guys would go to such an extent where they would threaten you with your job if you don't follow the instructions that they give you. Honestly, I would go to sites sometimes where the city of Cape Town's people had disconnect incorrect properties. Like literally, they're supposed to disconnect your neighbor and they end up disconnecting your water meter, and then you get threatened if you can't see to that client at a specific time frame purely because they want to. Since that time, to be honest with you guys, we haven't received a single payment other than the 20% they paid us initially. The company I've worked for, the management has somehow become very, very quiet and they're not communicating with us anymore. I think that what irritates me even more about the whole situation is the fact that I've tried communicating with the mayor's office. I have sent them an email and I asked them also if they can maybe provide me feedback on what's happening, considering the company that I worked for isn't responding to myself or any of my other colleagues as well. And I was told in a very nice way that because of the fact that I wasn't directly subcontracting from the city of Cape Town, that they didn't have to answer to me. Yet, if we go to other provinces, we find that when employees don't get paid by their companies in other provinces and they work on a project, they completely vandalize the project. And at that point, the municipality then decides to communicate with them. And myself and my colleagues are out here trying to do the right thing and to communicate in a civil way to get things done. And we are told in a very kind way, we understand you put your life at risk on a daily for us, but that's a you problem. For those of you guys who don't understand also, there's a lot of extra stress that comes with coping for months and months on end with 3 to 4 hours worth of sleep every single day. You don't know when you have an off day. Something that I used to get very irritated with that would happen to me consistently was I would, for example, not receive work for an entire day, right? I would tell my plumbing team that they are off for the day, they don't have to worry about coming in. And then at 8 o'clock at night, I would receive a message saying that they need me to go and replace one water meter in Portland's or something, or in Tafelsig even. And then I would say that you had another plumbing team on site for the day. Where are they? It doesn't make any sense for me to bring in my team to work on one job, whereas they haven't worked for the entire day, because literally if we only do one job, I lose money for the day. And it just turns into but it's your job to do it. Even though the other guy has made his money for the day, he doesn't feel to work anymore, and therefore it's fine for him to just, not do it anymore. But I had to do it. And you end up losing money in that way. I've had to ensure that I cover, employee costs. Obviously, I plan ahead for fuel. All of these expenses that has gone into an entire month's worth of working, and I've seen zero return on that. It's a really frustrating experience to have to go through, and not knowing where or how or who to speak to makes it even worse. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that experience with you guys to shed a bit of light on the situation and to show you guys that even though someone might tell you that they're actually working on a tender, it's really not all that wonderful, to be honest with you. And I wish I had a bit. Normally the videos that I upload on this channel are all very hyped up and they're all happy story stuff, but unfortunately I don't really have a happy story to give you guys. It's been more than a year that I've been waiting for payment. I still haven't received my full payment yet. I literally sent my project manager a message earlier on today asking if my project manager would send me a reference letter that I could use as I'm applying for other jobs right now, and they've even ignored that message as well. So yeah, I'm at the point where I don't know where to turn to anymore, but we move. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys have any questions, the comment section is available for you guys. Much love to all of you guys, and yeah,